Curry just dunked after 6 years. His last dunk was way back on February 24, 2019. Let that sink in.
Curry sneaking down court, and Curry with the dunk. Take a picture.
For a guy known for his silky three-point shots, seeing him throw it down is like spotting a shooting star. It just doesn't happen often. But this wasn't just any dunk. It was a statement. The Warriors were in a tight battle against the 76ers, missing key players and struggling to find their rhythm. But then out of nowhere, Curry got a fast break, took flight, and slammed it home. The crowd went wild. His teammates were on their feet. Even the commentators couldn't believe what they had just witnessed.
You know when's the last time you dunked in a game?
Of course I do. 6 years ago, at home.
It was the kind of moment that makes you sit up and say, did that really just happen? But as epic as it was, Curry's rare dunk wasn't enough to stop what was coming next. Because this night belonged to someone else. A player who was about to shock everyone with a performance no one saw coming. Quentin Grimes, a name most people wouldn't have thought twice about before this game, was about to put on a show for the ages. And by the time the final buzzer sounded, the entire NBA world would be talking about him. Quentin Grimes wasn't supposed to be the star of the night, but sometimes the game doesn't care about expectations. From the moment he stepped on the court, he played like a man on a mission. Shot after shot, drive after drive, he was unstoppable. The Warriors' defense had no answer for him. They left him open. He drilled the three. They put a hand in his face. He still knocked it down. He attacked the rim with confidence, weaving through defenders like a seasoned veteran. By halftime, he already had 22 points, and you could feel something special brewing. But the real madness came in the second half. Every time the Warriors tried to fight back, Grimes was there to shut the door in their faces. He wasn't just scoring, he was torching them. Mid-range jumpers, deep threes, tough finishes at the rim. It was all falling. By the time the fourth quarter rolled around, he was sitting on a career high and still wasn't done. The 76ers, playing without Joel Embiid, needed someone to step up, and Grimes answered the call in a way no one expected. But here's the craziest part. This game wasn't just about Grimes' explosion. It was about a 76ers team that had been counted out, proving that they still had fight left in them. For the 76ers, this game was about more than just one hot performance. It was about resilience. A team that had been spiraling downwards with a brutal 9-game losing streak, dealing with the crushing news that Joel Embiid was out for the season, had every reason to fold. Their franchise player, the reigning MVP, was done. Many fans had already written them off, but instead of crumbling, they showed heart. Kelly Oubre Jr. stepped up with his aggressive drives and tough finishes. Paul George, despite an off-scoring night, made key plays when it mattered. Even lesser-known names like Guerschon Yabusele made their presence felt. This wasn't just one guy going off. This was a statement from a team that refused to quit. And it couldn't have come at a better time, because on the other side, the Warriors were battling their own struggles. Jimmy Butler was out with back spasms, which meant all eyes were on Curry to carry the load. He did his part, putting up 29 points and 13 assists, but something was off. The Warriors' defense looked sluggish. Their rotations were late, and every time they clawed back into the game, Philly had an answer. It was a back-and-forth war, but by the fourth quarter, the momentum had fully shifted. The 76ers, a team many had counted out, were now in control. But could they close it out? Because if there's one thing everyone knows about the Warriors, it's that they never go down without a fight. With 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, the Warriors made their final push. Down by double digits, they needed something. Anything to spark a comeback. And as always, Curry took matters into his own hands. He drilled a deep three from way beyond the arc, barely even looking at the rim before it splashed through. Then, another. Suddenly, the lead was down to 6. The crowd was buzzing. The Warriors were right there knocking on the door. For a brief moment, it felt like one of those classic Golden State finishes, where they steal a game in the final minutes, with a barrage of impossible shots. But Quentin Grimes wasn't about to let that happen. As the Warriors inched closer, he delivered the biggest shot of the night, a pull-up three with a defender draped all over it. Bang! Right back to a 9-point game. And just when Golden State tried one last desperate push, Grimes drove straight into the heart of the defense, pulled off a filthy behind-the-back move, and banked in a tough layup through contact. That was it. That was the dagger. The Warriors had thrown their best punches, but the 76ers refused to fold when the final buzzer sounded. It wasn't just a win, it was a statement. Philadelphia had snapped their losing streak, taken down one of the league's toughest teams, and reminded everyone that they weren't done just yet. But now, a bigger question loomed. Was this just one great night, or was it the start of something bigger? As the 76ers walked off the court, you could see the energy shift, not just among the players, but in the entire fan base. For weeks, they'd been drowning in bad news. Embiid's injury had sucked the life out of the season, and every loss felt like another nail in a coffin. But this game changed everything. Quentin Grimes had just delivered the best performance of his career, and suddenly there was a new sense of hope. Maybe, just maybe, the 76ers weren't finished. Maybe there was still a way to salvage this season. The locker room atmosphere reflected that. Grimes, who had just put up 44 points, wasn't celebrating like he had won a championship. He was locked in. "I just did what I had to do," he told reporters. His teammates echoed the same mentality. Kelly Oubre Jr. talked about stepping up in Embiid's absence. Paul George emphasized the importance of playing with urgency. This wasn't a team that saw itself as underdogs anymore. They believed they could fight their way back. But belief is one thing, execution is another. The road ahead was still brutal. The Eastern Conference was stacked, and without Embiid, every game was going to be a war. The question was simple. Could the 76ers sustain this energy and prove they were more than just one good game? The world was about to find out. One win doesn't define a season, but sometimes it can be the spark that changes everything. The 76ers had been written off, dismissed as a team that couldn't survive without their MVP. But after this game, after watching Quentin Grimes explode for 44 points, after seeing them hold off a Warriors team that never goes down easy, people started to wonder, what if this team has more fight left in them than anyone thought? The NBA is unpredictable. Injuries, trades, breakout performances, everything can shift in a matter of weeks. Maybe this wasn't the beginning of a Cinderella story. Maybe the 76ers would struggle in their next game and come crashing back to earth. But what if they didn't? What if this was the moment that forced them to evolve, to play with a chip on their shoulder, to stop relying on Embiid and start playing as a unit? The best teams don't just win when things are easy. They find ways to survive when everything is stacked against them. And if this game was any sign of what's to come, then the 76ers just might be more dangerous than anyone expected. 1. Things for sure. After this performance, the rest of the league is paying attention. And if Quentin Grimes can keep this up, he might not just be a one-game wonder. He might be the spark that keeps Philadelphia's season alive. And there you have it, one of the most unexpected performances of the season. A game that had everything from Curry's rare dunk to Quentin Grimes' breakout night. But what do you think?